Good afternoon, team. Welcome to the Chasers. Welcome to my friend and co-host of this show, Big Man Backer. Big Man, how are you, mate?
Hi, Johnny. It's been a while.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me. Hello and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. How have you been? How was your trip to Yemeni?
yeah, it's been good. I've only been back in England about an hour or two. I've checked straight into a hotel, got premium Wi-Fi, and I'm staying down in London for a day just because I'm on Sky Sports News tomorrow morning, and going back home and then coming back down to London is just like, oh, can't be bothered with that. Although I would love to go home and see my daughter, it's going to wait 24 hours. So yeah, I'm fresh off the flight. I've been flying overnight, 10-hour flight.
You look absolutely, you look absolutely gone.
Yeah, I am. I mean, look, you won't see this hair very often. You won't see this hair very often.
I mean, you look as if you're sling smashed. It's almost if you haven't slept for 2 days or something.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much haven't. And because of the jet lag, I can't go to sleep now. So in England, it's 1 o'clock. But if I go to sleep now, it's going to be dangerous for tomorrow. So I need to try and stay awake till maybe 6 and then go to bed at 6. That's my plan. Yeah.
How have you been? As long as the wildcard team is sorted, I mean, as long as the wildcard team is sorted, all will be fine. Because I don't want the wildcard to be giving you more anxious moments while you're sleeping.
Honestly, I think I'm going to lock, because I'm not around for the deadline tomorrow, because I'm on TV, which is always cool, but you come off screen and you've got
humble brag.
Well, you got like 2-3 minutes before the deadline every time, and there's always team leagues, and tomorrow there will be, but they won't affect the wild card. So I really want to lock in this way before the deadline. So I may as well lock in today after the press conferences. So I'm feeling pretty set as it is. I'm looking forward to showing my team and seeing your team and seeing the differences between them in this show. I guess we'll also touch base on the last game week, but we won't hang around on that because
we have to. It was such a huge week that we have to. I mean, it would be very unfair on our part if we don't discuss it, even for a brief while. We have to discuss it for a bit. So how was your week? Let's start from your team.
I mean, no free hit, no problem. Like I had a good week. I mean, don't get me wrong, a free hit team gets more points than my team. I got 115 with a 4-point hit, but I took 3 transfers in on 3 players that were good free hit options, and maybe most non-free hit managers only had 1 or 2 of them. So I went with Eze in, I went with Havertz in, I went with Trent in, and all 3 paid off. I mean, I did sell Foden, but that's fine. So yeah, good week. I had Mateta in place. That was the key. I had Mateta for the last month, so that's worked out nicely.
That's worked out very nicely. I mean, I scored 105 points, and I'd call it a good week because this week was one of damage limitation, and I think I've gotten away with one. I see a lot of people who were not on a free hit who've had absolute shockers, and they've been like overtaken by their rivals because the free hit teams have outscored them by 80, in some cases even more than 80 points, right?
Yeah.
So the variance this week has been brutal, and it's been as swingy as possible. I've never seen a game week like this, and I think the 12-13 years I've been playing FPL, it is the craziest thing I've ever seen, like seriously, because every single thing for the free hitters worked out. It wasn't actually possible to have a bad free hit team because all options, you couldn't have gone wrong. Everyone smashed it. It was just one of those weeks. I mean, even a half decent free hit team would have scored in excess of 100 points this week. So, I mean, it was just a crazy week, which is why I think, I mean, I'm very lucky to be sitting here in this position where I've only dropped 1K in rank, which I would have taken all day of the week had you offered that to me at the start of the week. I did not have a second Liverpool attacker, and you must recall, Gianni, I was very, very worried about it over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
I've gotten away with it. I had Mateta, and the swing has been in my favor, which has been
very. And those that had Darwin didn't have Mateta, so for those, that was a huge imbalance there between Darwin and Mateta.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it was because of the fact that there was no Haaland news before the deadline. Had the news come out that Haaland was unavailable, I'm absolutely certain that I would have gone for Darwin for sure, right? And those with Mateta, those without Mateta would have picked Mateta, right? So it was, the swing was created by the lack of information that we had. I mean, well done if you've absolutely smashed it, and commiserations if you haven't. I guess you still have the wild card intact. And now we're gonna discuss the wild card. I mean, this show is going to be a wild card special, because it's not often that you're wild carding so late in the season. And this season, both me and you, Jani, we made a conscious effort to sort of hold the wild card till later, and then use it together with the bench boost. So we've sort of put all our eggs in this basket. This has to go big. There is no other option. There is no other time to recover. We have to absolutely smash it, especially considering how well the free hitters have done.
Yeah. The rank gain and the green arrow gain feels more difficult than ever. I had a good week. I had a 20% green arrow, but I expected to get a 30-40% green arrow with my score of 115 points. It's tough. It's competitive. It's so competitive more than ever that we really need that bench boost to, well, we need the wildcard template. We need the players doubling to come through for us. We need Spurs and Chelsea to deliver goals, I think. We're not expecting Spurs and Chelsea to keep clean sheets, and that's probably okay if they don't, because no one really is. But yeah, shout out to those in the chat. We put a few on screen. Gucci, 166 points with a minus 20 down to 146. Still amazing. Shout out Gucci in Australia, one of my channel members. Will says, I've been overtaken. Can I catch first place? He's 42 points ahead now. And wildcard 35, bench boost 37. He only has bench boost left. What would you do? I mean, that's the benefit, isn't it, big man? For those that have held wildcard, you can produce a team that's very different to the current template, because the current template is not stacked on Newcastle and Chelsea and Spurs and Man City players.
Even Man United. I mean, you're right. The current template is quite different to what we will go for. And there have been injuries to, a lot of popular players. I assume, Will, your rival, he doesn't have the wild card. So if he wild carded early, I assume he has the likes of Udogi, Gusto, all these guys in the team, with Haaland as well, with a very thin bench, right? So with not much to cover, I'm sure he'll sort of have to spend points. And that's likely going to be the case with a lot of other people who free hitted this week. I assume they have plenty of issues in their squad. So while I think the wild card and the bench boost is a very powerful combination, I'd expect to make up around 25 to 30 points. 41, 42 seems a bit of a stretch, if I'm being totally honest, especially if he has the bench boost intact. But you never know. I mean, if you can tap into some positive variance like your rival did on the free hit last week, I mean, you never know. It's just one or two hauls here and there. It can happen.
Yeah. I'm desperate to show our wildcard teams. I know that's what everyone's tuning in for, but we have got a graphic of our teams from the week just gone. So let's just quickly show them, big man. State of play. I want to know, I don't think our ranks are on screen. I think I'm 67k. Where are you? Are you in the 40s?
Current rank is 26k. I dropped.
Oh
from
wow! Okay, I forgot you were. Okay, don't remind
me. I'm in a good position. So I'm in a relatively good position. I think the difference between our teams is now, I think 25, 30 points. I didn't check. It should be somewhere around that.
I had a 10-point gain on you, didn't I?
It's 30. It's 30. Yeah, I just checked. It's 30.
Oh, that's going to be hard. I mean, we'll see how different our wildcard teams are, but I expect that 30 is going to, well, maybe captaincy is what could swing it for me. Also, I'm guessing you're not going De Bruyne. He's someone that...
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to spill the beans this early. You don't need to spill the beans this early. I was just going to say, I know your style of play. I know that, there will be one or two differentials that you go for. Not you. I know you won't go overly crazy, but there will be a sprinkling of some differentials that you want to have to yourself till the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, De Bruyne was, spoiler alert, the first pick on my wild card was De Bruyne. This was before his goal the other day. Like, this was from Monday night. My wild card from Monday hasn't changed. Triple City attack was absolutely necessary and will be happening. Anyway, yeah, let's have a look at team just gone. Neto was a frustration, but other than that, happy with everyone else. Other than, Salah, it's the last time we'll captain him in FPL. We said that a couple of weeks ago. This will probably be the last time this double. I can't see him being at Liverpool next year. I can't see us owning him much for the end of the season. fair play to those that were bold enough to go outside the box with Salah. I tweeted yesterday that my transfers last week were pretty aggressive. Like I bought Trent in, I bought Havertz in, I sold Foden, I bought Eze in. And someone was like, oh, not really aggressive. You captain Salah. I'm like, no, I captained Salah because I thought he'd get the most points. He was, for me, the best option. But absolutely fair play for those that went with an Eze punt. Many that were chasing were brave with that. And fortune has absolutely favoured the brave there. I still thought Eze was a great captain, but I didn't think he was on a level with Salah. So, yeah, it is what it is. Salah absolutely flopped. Big man, can you see yourself owning Salah for a Game Week 38 swan song or not?
Maybe Game Week 38, but even in Game Week 38, Haaland has what, West Ham at home, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it's going to be tough sort of owning him till 30. I can't see myself owning him till Game Week 37 at all, personally. I've sold him on the wild card because I don't think I'll be going there. But in Game Week 38, let's say if I have 2 free transfers and if I have the funds, I might entertain the possibility. But even then, I'm not entirely sure whether I'm going to captain him in that week because City's fixture is just so good. And if they're chasing the title or if the Golden Boot is still up for grabs, who knows?
Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a quick look at your team, big man. Similar to mine. Thank God you had Mateta.
Exactly. I mean, I was sort of cursing myself, 3-4 weeks ago when I sort of had to take a route. I sold Foden and I got Mateta that week over, the option of keeping Foden and getting Darwin.
Yeah.
And Foden got a hat trick that week, and ever since I've been sort of cursing myself for not really making the right decision. I still think that the route I chose was probably wrong, but I've lucked out. If I'm being totally honest, because I didn't see Mateta scoring 4 goals, 1 assist in the double game week, and Darwin blanking. So yeah, I mean, I'll take whatever comes my way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure where our screen has gone with graphics, but we've got a bit of a blank screen going on at the moment. We might be able to make us full screen if that's the case. When we've got graphics back, we'll load them. I think they're on their way, or maybe not. Technical issues on this lovely Friday afternoon as we go into a Saturday deadline tomorrow, back to a normal time slot. Kind of a normal game week, but still a small double. Big man, let's talk about that double game week before we see wildcard drafts. Spurs and Chelsea. If you're on wildcard, is it a given that you have 6 players from those 2 teams?
Not necessarily.
It's not, is it? It's not. It was. No. It was until we saw how bad they are. Well, how bad Chelsea
are. Not just that. It was until the injuries happened.
Yeah,
Doggy got injured. Gusto was the big one. I think Gusto was in every other wildcard team. And now there are not exactly a lot of options to pick from. So I'm fine picking 5. I think you need to have 5 from these 6, the quota of 6 that you're allowed. But even when you look at Spurs, I'm not exactly convinced on a lot of their options. For example, the midfield options. There's Maddison, there's Johnson. Yeah. Maddison's been, he's been horrendously out of form. Johnson just seems like the kind of guy who might be 1 or 2 bad games away from getting dropped.
Yeah.
Richarlison is I don't know whether he's still fit or not. He's still up in the air. I haven't remotely considered him on this wild card. Udogie is not an option. So what does that leave you with? It leaves you with Porro if he's fit, which we expect him to be. Porro.
And he's not cheap, Porro. If you're looking at a De Bruyne team, you can't get Porro.
Exactly. So there's Porro. There's Son, I guess, who's obvious. And maybe Vicario. But again, it's not something which you sort of have to go for, or it's not something that's essential. Similarly with Chelsea, with Gusto injured, I'm not sure whether any of their defenders is nailed for 2 starts at all. I mean, I guess there's Cucurella or Disasi.
I've got a few for you.
Disasi?
Yeah, Disasi and Cucurella are the 2. I've got Disasi in my team at the moment, but now with Chilwell,
I'm not convinced.
Cucurella's played 90 in the last, I think, 6 games. And Chilwell's been coming on and obviously playing ahead of him as a left winger. Poch has major trust issues with Chilwell and left back in a 4. And Chilwell is now injured anyway. So Cucurella is safe. Disasi should be safe, especially with Thiago Silva now agreeing to leave in the summer. no point in
Yeah,
playing
but
Bernardo
Chelsea,
Silva.
have plenty of centre backs who are fit and available, right? There's Silva, there's Badiashile, there's
That's it though.
Chalaba, and yeah,
There's
that's
those
it.
three and Chalobah.
But I don't trust Poch though, because
Yeah,
when you look at Chelsea's lineup in recent weeks in the FA Cup, Disasi didn't play,
yeah. Disasi missed the Everton game, which
right?
Chelsea won. I think
He missed the Everton
4-1.
game. Yeah, exactly, and I think that was arguably one of their most important games
Yeah,
of the season.
it
So
was.
it just seems like one I won't back, because even though I'd expect him to start, there's no guarantee, and I don't think. I mean, it's not as if you're picking a City defender or an Arsenal defender where you think that the risk is worth it. It's a Chelsea defender. I mean, I expect them to concede in most games anyway. So why take the risk with rotation? I personally am not considering any Chelsea defenders in my draft. They don't inspire me with any confidence. Neither are they sort of 100% secure for starts. So that's my sort of reasoning for going against a Chelsea defender. I think if you want a Chelsea sort of defensive cover, I would rather go with Petrovic in goal. I sort of like that idea. Petrovic is completely fine. Then there's Palmer if he's fit and available, which he is. And there's Jackson. I think Jackson is a very good opportunity for us to gain some points over people who don't have the wild card, because I don't see a lot of people will go there on without a chip in hand. But Jackson, I mean, he's been notorious for missing big chances this season. But irrespective of that, despite that, he's averaging an attacking return in every 2 games, which is completely fine. So hopefully, if Jackson get a few points, if Palmer can get in the on the act, or these are the picks who sort of appeal to me. But apart from that, there's not much.
If you're looking for a differential, midfield spots are so hard to come by. But if you have that spot in midfield where you go, I just want to throw caution to the wind, I would look at Noni Madueke as an option. He has been playing very well of late. He does shoot plenty. He is fairly greedy. We saw him want the penalty off Palmer a few weeks back. The way Madueke is playing at the minute, he seems pretty nailed on the right-hand side. Again, you will have an X-Mins risk. But if you want to chase, or if you're chasing, Madueke could be a punt. Let us know in the poll if you are wildcarding in 35. At the moment, over half our viewers are on wildcard, which is awesome to see. And finally, guys, please do hit that like button and subscribe to Chasing Green Arrows. Hit all the buttons. We're with you for the next half an hour or so. We're going to be showing you our wildcard teams. We've spoken Chelsea. We've spoken Spurs.
I want to actually hear your thoughts on the Spurs mids. I mean, let's touch on the Spurs mids. We
like
need
Brennan.
to sort of talk in detail. You like Brennan?
I like Brennan, but I wouldn't pick him. It's funny, like I just like you and go, it's 1 or 2 bad games, and he's, anyone could come in. Like Kulusevski was a favourite of Postecoglou's. The first half of the season, Kulu didn't miss a minute. There's too much potential rotation in that Spurs front line. We're also seeing this Spurs front line off the back of a 4-0 defeat at St James's Park. That was arguably one of their worst performances of the season. So again, we don't know what rotation we're going to see. Like, as soon as Richarlison is back, Son out on the left maybe, that means no Werner. We don't know what Kulu, Brennan. I mean, Maddison feels nailed, but there's been Spurs fans saying give Lo Celso minutes, because Maddison's been playing so poorly of late. So even Maddison doesn't, he's been getting early subs. So Son is the only one Son is the only one I will have, almost certainly. And Porro, I love Porro, but he's so expensive. He's nearly 6 million. Now, yeah, you'll get some upside, but if money's tight, at the moment in my draft, I do have a Spurs defender just for appearance points. I'm not expecting much from Mickey van der Ven, but he is 4.4, and I don't have $1.5 million to upgrade into Porro. So I'm likely to have a rubbish Spurs defender.
That's interesting. I think we need to firstly talk about the price difference as well. I prefer Johnson to Maddison because there's nearly a 2 million difference, and I don't think Maddison warrants that at the moment. Yes, he's more secure for starts, but I think that 2 million can go a long way. But again, as mentioned earlier, he's just a bit too risky. It seems like the guy, if Spurs, if they drop a shitter against Arsenal, you never know, he might be out of the team by the next game. So there's that issue. And what the main issue in my opinion is that a lot of these picks that you're making on wildcard, they're dependent on for example, if you're picking Johnson, I assume you're not likely to have, let's say, a Vicario. So they're likely to have a domino effect, right? So it's for a lot of people, it's basically the choice between Johnson and, let's say, Share versus Gordon and, let's say, any other Porro, right? For that matter. And I just think the latter combinations feels more secure in terms of starts.
Yeah.
So if you mess up the Johnson pick, you're not only messing up that midfield slot, it also affects the other positions in your squad. For example, the goalkeeper or the defender that you might change in order to accommodate Johnson. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't necessarily have enough trust in Johnson just yet to make those compromises in the rest of my squad.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have just seen Postecoglou has been quoted saying Richarlison's available. Interesting.
Available does not necessarily translate to a start, though. I think a
True,
strategy
I
that a
actually
lot of
don't
people
have
could
the
use
quote
for.
yet either. I've just seen people's tweets. I've seen Postecoglou's face, so I don't actually know the words he's used.
I mean, even if he's fit, and a strategy that a lot of people can go for, and it's something which I'm not against. I think it could make sense. Is that they can pick Johnson right now, and then they can swap him out for Richarlison 37, because you'd assume by the time 37 comes, Richarlison will be fit.
Yeah, fit. But even when he's fit, like, because Werner's an option down the left and Son central, if Richarlison has a bad game or two, there is a world in which Son still gets the number 9 slot. Like, so
I don't think so. I think Richarlison, if first choice and if fit, will start. That's my read on it. And Postecoglou, I'll read out the quote. He said that Pedro and Richie have trained all week, so they're available. This is the quote. So if they've trained all week, I'd expect Porro to play at least. Richarlison hasn't started for quite a while, so I'm not sure whether he'll start. But once he's up to fitness, I'm sure he's in the Spurs' best 11.
Oh, I feel like we need to see these teams then, big man. I want to see Can we do yours first?
No, I want to talk about yours first. Why not?
Okay, let's do mine first.
I want to rip it to threads. To shreds.
This is the team I think I made on Monday or Tuesday, and genuinely the only change has been Gusto out for Disasi, and I think Disasi is going to change to Cucurella. But as things stand, this has 0.0 in the bank. Clearly, there's no Bruno, which everyone's going to shout at me for, but it does allow triple City attack, and Haaland probably won't start. I'd have Foden in my 11. I really like Dalot as a bit of a differential defender. For the double. I mean, Dalot is only going to play for me in 37, but when you look at Dalot's average position map, even against Sheffield United, he was finding himself like up front a lot. Like, Dalot's a great pick for an attacking return, I think, in the double of 37. You have to have triple Newcastle. They pick themselves. Obviously, I'd prefer Share to Burn. Money's an issue. Obviously, I prefer Porro to Van de Ven. Money's an issue. But I really want De Bruyne, and that's the compromise. I could have Porro. I could have Share, I could have Bruno, but that doesn't allow the Prince KDB. What do you think, big man? You don't have the Chelsea and Spurs defenders, I'm guessing, or De Bruyne. Are they the big differences?
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, I'm not really a fan of the Chelsea defender. Again, for reasons mentioned earlier, Van de Ven he's all right, but with Porro, there's at least some hope of an attacking return, I guess. The big thing is that, and one which I'm going to argue with you, I think the rest of the squad is perfectly fine. I think, again, as you guessed, I just think Fernandes is a better pick than De Bruyne, and I think he's better by quite. For example, this De Bruyne selection means. I'm not talking about this week. I'm talking about the next 4 weeks, right?
See,
if you look at the next 4 weeks,
I'm thinking of putting Bruno in and booking in a transfer and going Bruno to KDB next week. Because next week, I bet what are you doing I bet Bruno's not even in your 11 next week. I bet you're benching him against Palace.
No, I'll play him. I'm almost certainly going to play him. I think I might bench.
What will you bench Son?
Son away to Liverpool, maybe.
You're going to have to bench Son or Bruno next week.
Or maybe Gordon away to Burnley. Probably Son. I think
Gordon to Burnley.
I mean, Gordon has been. I mean, he's done really well at home. I'm not as convinced about him away, but I think as of now, I might bench Son, if I'm being honest.
Wow.
Looking at my team, I might bench Son, but Coming to this week, I mean, there are enough headaches to address this week, let alone talk about next week. So let's talk about this week. Gianni, I think one of the reasons why I don't like De Bruyne is A, his price. B, just the fact that even when he starts, it's not as if he's putting up great numbers. Yes, he's great to watch and he's good for chance creation, etc. But I don't think he's an explosive pick. Even if City score 4 or 5 goals, I'd expect him to have like 2 assists at best. And then he comes off around the 70-75 minute mark, which isn't great, right? Bruno gives you 90 minutes all week on penalties, and he means that you can get a City defender, or I mean a City keeper, or Edison over Onana. I mean, in this draft you have double United defense, and I don't really like it at all. I think I have to critique it, and I have to question it, and I think I would pick Fernandes and Edison all day of the week over De Bruyne and Onana. And just because of De Bruyne pick, you have to compromise on defense as well. You have to be forced into picking an inferior Spurs defender and a Chelsea defender. So, yeah, that's my critique. I just think it compromise. You have to make a lot of compromises in the rest of your squad.
No,
just for one pick alone. That's the problem.
It is all for one pick, like you mentioned. No De Bruyne allows a City defender. It allows Porro, and it allows Bruno, potentially even Fabian Schär. I haven't looked.
It allows you to get an Arsenal defender over Disasi, which is significant, which is really significant.
My only concern with this big man, because like I've completely considered that version, which is your version. Everyone that's wildcarding, which we've just done a poll, everyone that's wildcarding is going to have that team, and 62% of the chat are wildcarding. I don't want the same team as everyone else for the next 3 weeks.
Sure. I mean, I'll give you a counter to that. Firstly, not everyone is wildcarding. It's a very small bubble that are wildcarding. Secondly, even though the picks in attack are more or less the same, I think that there's quite room for going for differentials in defense. For example, second Arsenal defender will not be popular. I don't see it being template, right? You can choose a different keeper. You already have Dalot. I don't think many will go with Dalot. I think he's a differential. I don't think so. I think a lot of people will pick Maguire if picking a United defender because he's cheaper.
True.
Even though I think if money was no object, Dalot is better. But I mean, money is an object sometimes on these drafts, right? So I think you have plenty of differentials on this draft. When you compare your team to the rest of the template, very few will have Fernandes, very few will have Jackson, very few will have Gordon, very few will have Dalot, very few will have double Arsenal defense, very few will have a Spurs keeper. So I've already listed 5 or 6 differentials that you'll have to yourself.
Oh, you're tempting me.
One thing is, and it's a very common thing that I've sort of noticed while talking to a lot of people about their wildcard teams, is that people seem very keen on going for differentials just because it's the end of the season, and they're chasing rank, etc. I still think that you should go with the team you expect to score the most points,
which includes De Bruyne.
Just because I don't think it includes De Bruyne. That's where we differ, right?
It includes De Bruyne, but I also think it includes an Edison and a Porro and a not a Van de Ven, and just tough gig. You're right though. We have to remember that we only see a small bubble, which is the engaged managers, which is FPL Twitter, which is FPL YouTube, and actually the masses aren't wildcarding by any stretch. Therefore, your team will differentiate just by default of being even a template wildcard pick. Outside of the controversial, go on, carry on.
I think I've sort of given you some food for thought. I don't think you're going to have a very peaceful. I don't think you're going to have a peaceful night's sleep, Shani. Unfortunately.
Honestly, there was me thinking I could lock in today. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, outside of the controversial ones, De Bruyne versus Bruno versus Van de Ven versus Porro, those other attacking slots. Is there any discussion needed over Jackson, Gordon, Isak? There isn't really, is there? They pick themselves.
I think the only one I would debate, I think the front line picks itself. The only one I would debate is maybe Gordon. Maybe you can go with a Spurs midfielder over Gordon, maybe a Johnson over him. And then that sort of changes the structure. I think I will pick Gordon in my team. But I think if I was to remove one of the midfielders in my team, it would probably be him.
Really?
He's the most
Yeah.
expendable. Yeah. But this is Trippier news now. Now there's no Trippier. Gordon is completely nailed, and he should be on set pieces as well.
Yeah.
The fixtures are as good as they come. Sheffield United at home, then Burnley next week. So it's going to be a tough player to sell. I mean, he's just coming across as one of those picks which seems obvious, but you might choose to ignore it just because it's too boring.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think to Palmer's fitness in terms of, we know he's been training. We've seen Chelsea without Cole Palmer against Arsenal, and boy, they were bad. Palmer obviously picks himself, but does he pick himself for captaincy?
I think he does. If fit and available, when you look at the fixtures, Chelsea have better fixtures, and when you look at the bookmaker projections, Chelsea are approximately projected to score a goal more than Spurs. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Spurs blanked against Arsenal. That's the thing, right? And against Chelsea, they score once or twice. But I just think the Chelsea attackers have more potential. I expect Chelsea to score more goals. And even when you look at their underlying data, Palmer is actually beating Son for non-pen XGI per 90 this season. So I think I'm going to go with Palmer.
I feel like if I was to shift my team to the discussion we've just had, I would have almost identical team to you, but just so you're aware and so those watching are aware, I've just done a little tinker, and the team of KDB out, Bruno in. So the team we're looking at now, but KDB comes out, Bruno comes in. You upgrade a Van der Ven to a Porro. You go Cucurella instead of Disasi, which I like. You keep Dallo and Burn and Gabriel, but you go Edison instead of Anana. Pretty much the obvious team. Gives me 0.1.
How much do you have in the bank?
0.1 with that draft, so I can do it.
0.1. Okay, I'll go even one better. I think if you swap Dallo to Maguire, that swap from Cucurella to Saliba or White will make this team even significantly stronger.
You're going double Arsenal defense?
Yes, almost certainly.
Big man. Forget the double game weeks. You're backing your boys who have delivered for you all season. That Bournemouth fixture in 36 is great for a clean sheet, but will you not get, for your bench boost in 37, when you look at all your doublers and Arsenal go to, is it United?
Yes, it's United. Okay, so hear me out. I completely agree that picking a Chelsea defender or anyone else over an Arsenal defender gives you an extra doubler in 37, right? But when you look at, for example, I'll sort of compare it with the template defense. When you look at the fixtures for Arsenal playing Bournemouth at home in 36, Everton at home in 38, right? Yep. They're right up there for clean sheet odds. And in those weeks, I think they're significantly stronger than the likes of Chelsea, who are playing. Chelsea are playing West Ham, I think, in 38, and Chelsea next week they're playing West Ham at home. But again, I would rather trust the Arsenal defense as opposed to Chelsea. Again, same with Newcastle. Newcastle playing Burnley away next week. That's all right, but I just think the Arsenal's fixtures in 36 and 38 are better, and I think the drop off between someone like a Saliba or a White to a Cucurella in 37 isn't bigger than the drop off that you're going to get by ignoring the Arsenal defense in 36 and 38. So I think over the next 4 game week window, you will probably score more points by picking an Arsenal defense and not picking the Chelsea defender.
Okay. I know you're not expecting clean sheets from a Cucurella, but don't you just think those 2 extra games gives you 180 minutes where he could pop up with an assist or a goal over your Arsenal defender? Okay. It's not like these Arsenal defenders score every week.
But there are a lot of ifs and buts. Firstly, if he will get 180 minutes, big question mark for me. I don't think he will personally. Secondly, if he gets any attacking return, I mean, that could be the case for any defender. That could be the case with White. That could be the case with Saliba, right? So I would just go with the team that has the best defense and has the best fixtures and has the best chance of keeping a clean sheet, right?
I don't think Arsenal have the best fixtures by any stretch.
In 36, they have Bournemouth at home. In 38, they have Everton at home. They're
They-
actually so.
They're good fixtures,
Well-
but the other two aren't. They're going to concede to Spurs and they're going to concede to United.
Yeah, but you benched them this week, right? You don't play them this week. That's the thing. So this week doesn't count.
You bench
And by 37, yes, of course.
Need to see your team. Let's get on to Big Man's team. Come on.
Johnny, I've talked you into selecting the identical 15. I mean, I will be disappointed if my hours worth of effort goes to
You really have talked me
waste.
into it. You know, I've had a week traveling where I've not spent any time on my wildcard. My wildcard took me 10 minutes, and now I'm like, oh, I needed that level of research. Ben White comes in to the team. Okay, Gusto, you're not going to go ahead with. So,
yeah, this team was made on, I think it was Tuesday. It was before the Gusto news, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so what happened is that at the start of the week, I was sort of looking to chase price changes, and at that point, I did not entertain or consider the idea of keeping double Arsenal defense because of the doublers that were on offer.
So
but now so I sold Saliba, right? So I sold Saliba. And now that's why I have White. But I still think, to be very honest, I think White is a superior pick because when I picked Saliba,
I actually agree. I would go White over Saliba too.
Yeah, this happened inadvertently, but when I bought Saliba in Gameweek 11, that was a time when fixture congestion was at its peak, when Arsenal were playing the Champions League, and White wasn't really as secure.
Yeah.
But now I think White has played himself into the first team, and with Arsenal having a week's rest before every game, I don't see a reason where he won't start all the games.
Yeah,
right? And if he's starting all the games, then I think he's just a better pick than Saliba because his XGI per 90 is almost double than that of him. In fact, it's very, very similar to Gabriel. So you just go with White in that case. He's also better at accumulating bonus. So I think it happened inadvertently, but I like that sort of transfer that has happened.
Yeah.
Gusto will go in this draft, and I think I'll probably go for Maguire because I want to play.
How much? You can't afford Dallo, can you?
I can't afford Dallo. Coming to that, I mean, Maguire is 4.2. The thing is, I'm comfortable with this draft, but let's say if I choose to make changes, I may go Vicario to Petrovic and Maguire to Dallo. That is doable.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think there's much to split them when you look at Vicario, Petrovic, or Gusto. Maguire, Dallo.
Yeah, no, there's not. I do prefer Dallo to Maguire, but I think it's marginal. It's marginal. Okay.
Yeah. Which combo do you prefer? Which combo do you prefer though?
I'd go Vicario over Petrovic.
Yeah. So, but if you're picking two, would you go Vicario, Maguire, or Dallo, Petrovic? That's what I'm asking. That's the tricky thing, right?
Probably Dallo, Petrovic, just because I've just watched the Sheffield United highlights, and I couldn't believe Dallo's positioning. He honestly, from a goal kick that Anana took, Dallo was on the receiving end. I think it was for the fourth goal. Dallo was the receiver from the goal kick, which went 80 yards and hit Dallo in the number 9 channel.
That's pretty interesting.
I was like, I think it was the Hoyland goal. I can't remember who scored it, but yeah, it was like Dallo assisted the assist, but he's so advanced, and he had a shot he shoots on sight. We know his numbers have been amazing this season. Dallo, arguably, he's been United's best player along with Bruno.
G, I want to question you on this. As a Chelsea fan, how convinced are you of Petrovic keeping his position?
Yeah, he's good. Sanchez is number 2, and it's not like Sanchez is leaving in the summer and it's like give him a game because he's not a Chelsea legend. Like you're fine. I think you're fine. We thought we were fine with Neto. No one's completely safe at Bournemouth. He was dropped midweek, but I'd be very surprised. Ortega could get a game in 38 if City have won the league.
Yeah, I considered that. I considered that. But in that week, Vicario has Sheffield United away, and Chelsea have Bournemouth at home. Both fixtures are all right.
Both are all right.
That's what I'm sort of thinking.
Vicario and Petrovic, both you'd expect to pick up similar save points as well. It's not much between
Yeah,
them.
probably. Yeah, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. I don't think there's much between. It's probably just the Burnley fixture for Vicario in 37. But I tell you what,
Burnley at home.
another factor that I sort of want to mention, which we haven't discussed, is um, if you go with Petrovic, you have that third slot open, Spurs slot open, and if Richarlison is back to full fitness in 37, he may be worth going for.
Yeah, but look, who would you be selling? Because all your midfielders double in 37 already.
They do. That's correct. But it's nice to have that option open, no?
It's nice to have the option. You know, who's to say that there's not an injury or a not a suspension now, but an injury or suspension. That was my next point though, big man. When we look at these teams, yours and mine, I know things happen and I know we'll get an injury and I know we'll get a suspension. I know we'll get a player that we go, all we need, but I can't foresee many transfers at all, which makes me think, is it okay to bookmark a transfer this week? To go for a 1 week punt knowing you can transfer? Like, for example, I could go Bruno this week and sell to De Bruyne next and leave money in the bank because Bruno's got the better fixture this week. I'd love De Bruyne for Wolves, and then for the doubles, I've back in on KDB. Bookmarking in a transfer isn't something I like to do on Wildcard because things always come up and it's nice to bank them. But I think we could go into Game Week 37 with 2 free transfers and end up rolling. If things go
I'm not against the idea of doing that, but it's an aggressive way of playing, and it's something which I wouldn't recommend early in the season. But I think we've sort of reached that stage where you can afford to take calculated risks, and I would consider this to be a calculated risk.
Yeah.
But having said that, if you have a team with and you look at it in 36, 37, and you don't foresee a transfer, isn't that exactly what you want when you're bench boosting, to have the ideal 15, right?
True.
So it's fine. That's exactly what you're aiming for, right? So if you're coming close to it, then that's a good thing, if anything. I won't look at it as something that you should be concerned about. Thank you for the super chat. Emre is asking Richarlison or Gordon. I think without any concrete news on Richarlison or whether or not he's going to start, I think Gordon is the safer pick and probably the one I'd go for. Sold Gabriel for the wildcard and lost value already. Should I just get White, or would you recommend a double up with Raya and White? I would get Gabriel back. And I like the look of double Arsenal defense more than the keeper. I won't go for Raya personally because with Ederson, I mean, keeper on bench boost, you want to have a keeper who's making those save points and who's accumulating those points right there. So I think I prefer having that double game week keeper. And it's just that when you look at the template defense on wildcard, White and Gabriel rotate really, really well with the other three. While with Ederson, you don't necessarily need another keeper. So yeah, I won't get Ryan Ederson.
Interesting. I think I'm with you on Gordon, by the way, over Richarlison. Gordon has been phenomenal. I feel like engaged managers have overlooked Gordon. Many of them have. And it was worth noting against Spurs, he played central next to Isak. It was almost like a front two. It was incredible. Gordon Isak link up, really useful. Having them both is a lock for me. Let's just discuss Ederson versus a Man City defender, big man, on this team. Because you could, for example, go one Arsenal defender. You could go or Petrovic Vicario or Anana Vicario. And Ederson could be Gvardiol, for example.
Yeah, I can go, let's say Onana and Guardiola over Edison and Maguire, basically. Yep. But I don't want to do that. I mean,
I prefer to have the Man City defender.
I am extremely worried about minutes.
Yeah,
I don't want to be sweating team sheets every game, Johnny. I don't want to be in that position.
And they don't offer enough upside. I mean, Kyle Walker, I know, is fresh off a couple of assists, but Kyle Walker hasn't really been an assist machine in this Man City team. So I can't. And Gvardiol, he's had a couple of goals recently, but again, will that continue? Probably not. There's no Cancelo in this team. Ederson is fine, I think.
I hope so as well. And I just think he's he's a superior pick to the rest of the City defense just because of the security of starts. With Walker back, with Ake back, I'm just not sure with Guardiol anymore, or even Ruben Diaz. We saw yesterday he got benched.
He
So
won't
you
get
never know.
save points though, Edison. We know that, and he won't get bonus points. We know that, but that's okay if he's picking up sets of 6. That's all we need from him.
It's tricky. There's a quote on Haaland by Guardiola in which he says, "I prefer to have Erling at my disposal than not to have him. I spoke with him. He feels better, but I don't know whether he will be available for Sunday." This is the quote that we have as of now. No new information.
So would you, as things stand, is he on your bench and you're starting Foden?
No, yeah, I mean you can start Haaland. I don't think he'll come off the bench if he's not fit. You can bench Foden. That's fine. I don't think Haaland will start, by the way, but I think
But
it's
you
safe
think you'll
to
start
have
him
him in
just
the
in
11.
case?
Yeah, I don't see a bench appearance, which is why.
When Haaland's missed a couple of games before, I think I'm right in saying his first game back has been straight in the 11. It hasn't been off the bench.
Yeah, that's what I would guess as well.
Yeah. Few asking about Walker versus Guardiol. Darryl asks. Freddie says he's gone Walker. FPL Rowie says Walker for Mins, Guardiol for attacking threat. I think both could start like 4 and 5, but you just
Probably
never know.
that's what I'd guess.
They play left back. You could see a Kanji pop up at right back or Rico Lewis. You just don't quite know with Pep. And as you said, big man, the Diaz benching last night, Thursday night, tells us that no one is safe, because Diaz was probably the one you go, he's going to get 5 and 5. I would say Akanji always seems to play when fit in one of the 4 positions, like, because he can play anywhere. But even then, like, I think Edison's the one.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah.
Jenny, you've now looked at my team, and we've sort of discussed our plans for the next few weeks. Any critique?
I don't like double Arsenal defence. But I don't dislike double Arsenal defence. And I get that you're benching them for Spurs, and you'll probably be benching them both for Man United. No, for Man.
You're bench. I'm bench boosting them in 37. That's fine.
Man United. So it just makes your bench boost a little bit weaker, I think. Then I would
fine.
Given the choice of Cucurella or Ben White in 37, I'd go Cucurella in 37. But I get in 36, you're going to get a clean sheet from Ben White, and Cucurella is going to concede to West Ham.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So as long as I am performing well with the double Arsenal defense in 36 till 38, that 3-week window, I don't really care who wins in 37. As long as the combo wins in 30 till 38, that's all I care about.
You could also use a transfer in 37 because, you're going to have transfers. And
that's actually true.
Double Arsenal defense for Bournemouth. You could sell one of them for 37 and bring them back in 38 maybe,
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, but again, in 37, who do you even buy is my counter.
Yeah, I know. I mean, maybe you see something from a Cucurella in 36 and go, Chelsea just kept it clean against West Ham. Maybe they can keep one clean sheet in the double. I don't know. The double isn't bad for Chelsea.
It's okay. It's not, I won't call it great. I won't call it terrible. I still think they'll concede in both games, but they can easily keep one clean sheet, I think.
Yeah. Brighton, have we looked at Brighton?
I mean, João Pedro is the only one who sort of appeals, but with the front three that we have, which is close to being locked, I don't see him as a realistic option.
Lewis Dunk for a bullet header? Or a worldie.
Again, their fixtures aren't good. From a defensive point of view, their fixtures aren't great, right? When you look at their fixtures, they're really tough. They're really, really tough. And
they're on the beach. I think Brighton are a beach team.
They are a beach team, and we saw last night that he rotated Verbruggen in goal as well, right?
Yeah.
De Zerbi. So you never know with these random mentions. That's why a Brighton goalkeeper isn't in consideration, by the way, is because of the random rotations that De Zerbi tends to do, especially at this stage of the season.
Yeah, okay. Let's go back to captaincy, big man. Oh, by the way, guys, do hit that like button. Over 400 of you watching. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to Chasing Green Arrows as well. How are you feeling about captaincy? Is it just Palmer? or is there a doubt in your head which is looking at Son? Because I don't think that anyone's
It's
looking at
Palmer.
other Chelsea players, are they? No one's going to go Jackson or Richarlison. It's a 2-horse race this week.
I'm going with Palmer for sure. I'm set on the Palmer option. I'm just sort of still contemplating 2 or 3 defensive positions in my wild card. For example, the Vicario slot, the Maguire slot. These are the ones that are still sort of up for debate. I'm almost certain I'm going to go with double Arsenal offense. I don't think that's going to change. Porro is also nailed.
I love
Edison is nailed.
That. I think that makes it quite differential for you on wildcard, because I don't think many wildcarders will do that.
That's exactly what I'm saying, right? So I think in the first place, a lot of people won't be wildcarding, and even those who are wildcarding, I think I have a fair few differentials in defense as compared to them.
Oh, my biggest concern for me is the team with Bruno and Porro, Edison makes complete sense, and I think you've talked me into it. But there's no way I can easily get to De Bruyne in 37 if I want to now, because I'd have spread those funds.
That's fine, but that's fine. I mean, it's KDB plus 4 other players as well, right? And as long as the other combination beats the other by a significant margin, by 37 or even 38, even if it beats the other combination by 1 point, it shouldn't really matter, right?
Yes, but it's not a sexy big man.
I know. And with KDB, you can easily get lucky. That's what you're hoping for, right? If you hit the nail on the head and you get lucky. I mean, he's that kind of pick. I can see why you want to go for him, but I just don't like the compromise that are being made. If it was, if money was no object, I would have been all for KDB.
It's not one compromise either. It's 3. It's the City defender option 2, and I do think we'll get City clean sheets. I think I can sacrifice on Porro. Like, I don't think Porro's going to get many attacking returns, if any. Like, he'll get similar points to Van de Ven, but it's the Man City defender is a big one, and obviously Bruno's a great asset in his own right, especially for the Burnley fixture. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm going to think about it. I mean, De Bruyne for me, the thing that probably, if I was captaining De Bruyne in one of these weeks, it'd be worth it. But I can't see where I give him the armband. That's the other thing. He's not going to be a captaincy option for me, I don't think. Knowing I've got Haaland in that same team, it's going to be very unlikely the week I go City attacker, I'm never going to go De Bruyne over Haaland captaincy when they're both fit.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. I think we've reached the end of the show.
Yeah,
we've discussed everything in detail. We hope you've liked our show. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, everyone. And wishing you all the very best. Hope you smash this week and come back a happy bunch on Wednesday next week.
Yeah, exactly that. I am a big man, as if I'm not tired or anything, because I've been so short on streams and content this week. I have scheduled, maybe this was a bad call, I have scheduled a 2 p.m, which is right now, a stream on my channel. So I don't know how long I'm going to last, guys. I'm going to go through 2 drafts. The team that I've showed Big Man and the team that I've done on this show off the back of Big Man's convincing me to pick Bruno and a City defender and Porro. So if you are just joining in, stay on Chasing Green Arrows and watch the last hour. 100% you've missed a fantastic show. So rewind, tune in for an hour. If you have been watching for the hour and you want more content, then come over to my channel, which is in the chat now, and I will be live in about 45 seconds. On your way out, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Me and Big Man will be back next week. Any final thoughts from you, Big Man?
I'm just hoping we get some luck this week, Jani. It's sort of overdue against the free hitters. We need something going our way.
Yeah, we do. Those free hitters, it was just one of those weeks. Looking forward to chatting next week, man. Good luck on the wild card. Thank you for your advice, Big Man. It's been very much appreciated.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you.
From a personal point of view this week as well. Take care. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.